Well, good morning, boys, girls, and Colleens of all ages. Welcome to the Colleens and Coffees podcast. If you're not a Colleen and you don't have a coffee, what the hell are you doing here? Get out of here. You're not even welcome. I'm not joking. Go. Get out of here. But really, though, so there's been some fairly unstructured shit being recorded just lately. You may say, well, look, that's what we're here for, dude. Like, the unstructured is the guts of it all, isn't it? Isn't that the point? Frankly, if you don't like unstructured, you're not going to like it here. But even more so than usual. So yeah, this is just I know it's early in the game to be doing out a clip show. I wouldn't call it a clip show. It's more like a series of uncollected... It's an anthology, is what it is. Think of it as an anthology. A mostly shirtless anthology. There you go. Yeah, look, there is one new segment I want to introduce today called Unsolicited Mansplaining. Look, as much as anything else, it's an attempt to own the fact that half of what I do is mansplaining. And the other half of what it, the other chunk of why I'm using the term unsolicited mansplaining is because I want the word unsolicited to not immediately be followed by the term dick pic. Because right now, those are like, intertwined like peas and carrots. They're just insane. But if we could somehow get an unmashing of those, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Unsolicited to mean something else other than just like, oh, incoming mushroom, chode alert, whatever. I don't know. But yeah, so enjoy. There's a couple of random stories which are pretty tight. I've got to tell you, they are pretty tight. But you'll get used to it and it's fine. Yeah, so enjoy that. It's all coming. It's all here. It's all happening. New shit coming soon. Old shit, available to watch again and again and again and again as many times as you wish. Indulge yourself. Please, treat yourself. Act like it's your birthday and like somebody cares. Bye. If I see, by the way, one more fucking YouTube personality with a goddamn Rode in particular, this microphone I saw this happening with, and I will simply adjust my technique so as I can place the microphone where they would have it in relation to the camera without doing what they need to then have another fucking pop filter, which, hang on, don't mind if I do, one moment please. So I'll be doing this bad boy, right? Now call me crazy, but I feel like a large amount of my expression is significantly reduced. I look like I'm a commentator for horse racing. Or like I'm, being shielded from, being recognized so I don't end up like the fucking every opposition leader of Russia. Yeah, I'm not in the witness protection program, man. Here's the secret. Do you want to know the secret? This is, as a sound engineer, as someone who loves the sound of their own voice to the point of doing this with a microphone. And I know you can't see exactly how close we are with the microphone, so I shall elucidate ye. Right? This is where I have it. Just out of frame. Pointing at me. You can have it a bit off axis. If your music's fucking jamboree is to have a little bit more room to what you're doing, you can absolutely tap him a little further off axis that way. I wouldn't though, because you'll laugh at it and you get troubles. You can do that one, but then you get these ones are way more prominent. And this room is 2 cubes. Let me just do that properly. This room is 2 actual cubes, so it's not really the type of room you can get away with a bunch of the room tone. Oh, it'll really sound nice. You do everything you can to close mic in here. However, you'll notice how close I am to this microphone. I'm speaking like a person. Yeah, I might be lowering my plosives a little bit because now I'm thinking about it like hugely. And I don't want to put a massive big DC pop down everybody's guts while I'm trying to explain how pop filters are for chumps. And people who don't like to, half of their face to be visible and shit. It's like, yeah, this is like what a burglar would wear. This looks like I'm actually trying to like burgle a screen door on a submarine. Anybody home? You know, or something. That's what it feels like to me. Point is, you don't need a pop filter, and you probably don't need a VPN. But you almost certainly don't need a pop filter. And if it's obscuring your shot, well, you've got some bigger decisions to make, some bigger fish to fry, about priorities. It's a visual medium, you know, as they say. But the first bite is with the ear. Absolutely is. You know, you give me like, you give me my Blackmagic camera and its onboard mic, or my phone camera and this, any decent actual studio mic. I take the studio mic and the shit camera every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I'll just give it enough light. Like, you give a shit camera enough light and it doesn't care. You give a shit microphone enough volume, that's not the same thing at all. It doesn't work that way. Like, it's not about signal to noise ratio exclusively. It's about non-linearities within decent electronic components, versus much more linear performance, or logarithmic, which we perceive as linear performance, within quality electronic components. But yeah, you see what I mean? Like, it's just out of frame. It's just out of frame. Don't need to worry about microphones. In fact, I'll tilt him down there a little bit more, because, you know, yeah. But yeah, the whole, like, I've got to have this up here. And it's like, you might as well have, like, I don't know. If Rode wasn't sponsoring me, like, I know I just mentioned that I'm using this Rode here, but I was physically showing you, so I don't think there was any. I'm certainly not being sponsored by them, you know. I wouldn't have a big thing that said Rode right where my teeth are. It's no good. It's like dudes get around with Repsol colours on their motorbikes. It's like, what do they chuck you a bit of money for Rego? What's the deal? I know you want to be Mick fucking doing, but you're not, alright? You've still got all your fingers, right? And your left knee works. Oh no, your left ankle works. You're not Mick doing, among other reasons. Go dig a swimming pool. Anyway. Yeah. Just among many, many reasons I wouldn't do it that way is just because, you know, I don't know, what would you put BMW there? I wouldn't put Blackmagic there. Yeah, I don't know. And it was just weird because, I mean, you very rarely see the NT1000s. I love them. I've had, if I go to my fucking Rode customer login on their website, and I actually look at my microphones, fuck me swinging, there's so many NT1000s. I own one, but every time I get a new one under warranty, I register it as one of my microphones. And I don't mean to be a prick about this, because they have replaced every single one, and they've replaced them repeatedly until I get one that doesn't shit its DAX in 3 months, and then I hang on to it for 12 years. And I had to sell that one because interstate moving was, you know, it wasn't exactly a high priority when I was coming to Tasmania to grow, to be a primary producer. Let's simply say I came to Tasmania to be a primary producer. And within that domain of agriculture, microphones are very rarely that useful. So like a mic that I could find, that I could get $400 for, or whatever I would have got $400. I mean, they're only 500 new, and they're 400 second hand or whatever they are. They're fucking amazing. I really like the 1000s on my voice. I've got an NT2A. And I don't know. I'm not that familiar with the numbers. It's the one with the non-continuously variable polar pattern selector. It's just got the 3 positions of Omni 8 and cardioid, and it's got the pad and shit. But it's just, I know it's a different capsule because it has to be for its selectability and etc. But yeah, it's I don't like it. Don't like it at all. Don't like it on trumpets. Don't particularly like it on acoustic guitars. Don't like it on a saxophone. Don't like it as a drum overhead. Don't like it on my voice. Don't like it on many people's voices. It's not bad if you wanted an SM7B. that you then want to just give a real shallow low pass filter to just, take away some of the tapper of a condenser. But in general, it's like, I don't know, it's a microphone without a purpose for me. It's definitely like, it's first out, which is weird to say, because I've got this fucking mic 2, right? It's currently sitting right on top of the piano. It's a copy of a U47 FET. And it's not bad. It's got a fucking awful noise floor. Didn't rename it. I was reminded about Command Shift R because of Command R is rename, which is what I was actually in the midst of. Oh god, he's fucked it all up again. Little Ableton tip. That's what I was thinking of. Must be 20 years. Candy, you are so fine. Beautiful, beautiful girl from the north. You break my heart with a flickering torch. We had a dream. I love his pitch in that tune. It's great. Do it if you like. And so that's the Telefunken U47. With leather. Fuel economy, it makes no sense to measure it as, so what are we going to do? We're going to go, okay, litres per 100 kilometres, or whatever. One way or the other, it's volume per distance, or distance per volume. Where the way it's done in America, where it's, whatever it is, miles per gallon, either way, it winds up, you're dividing units that have only distance in them with other units that have only distance in them. So a litre is 10 centimetres by 10 centimetres by 10 centimetres. So you've got distance cubed litres at the top of the equation, and then you get down to per 100 kilometres, which is just distance. So you can cancel the kilometres, have no division, there's no per in it. Your fuel economy is measured in area. Your fuel economy should be measured in square millimetres usually. That's a convenient unit. Or square metres if you want to get all fucky of it. And you know what I mean, even that's the base unit. But yeah, square millimetres is the convenient one. And the concept that needs to be thought about is, if I was driving along the road, and picture Donnie Darko, is the easiest way to do this, where he's having, I don't know if it's only in the director's cut, like the one that was slightly shitter but slightly explained more. I don't know which I prefer. Doesn't matter. The one where they've got the dealios coming out the chests, and it's the like their timeline. The things that come out of his chest when he's having the whole like potentially psychotic episode, potentially vision of the future. That's what you need to visualize, but coming out of the, instead of there being a fuel, it's not pipe, is it hose? Is it hose? It's not cable. Fuel conduit, the fuel movement enabler, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, instead of it coming from a fuel pump up to the front, imagine what area of pipe in front of the car you could literally just drive the car into, that however hard the accelerator needed to be on, you got a bigger pipe in order to give the car the fuel it needs wherever. So if you're going down a hill, the pipe would only need to be no pipe at all, because if you've got your foot off the accelerator on most cars, it won't use any fuel at all as long as you've got the engine spinning fast enough to keep all the electrical system and everything else working and account for its own friction. But if you're going up a hill, coming from down a hill to then up a hill, you've got to imagine like as soon as you touch the accelerator, a funnel emerges that then, because when you do the numbers, let's say you get, what is it? You might get 5 liters per 100 kilometers. So it'll be 0.05 square millimeters. So half, like a 20th of a square millimeter. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. That goes the entire length of everywhere the car could potentially go into the future. That then, if you were using, 30 liters per 100 kilometers, it'd be then 3.3 square millimeters. As a tiny little goddamn pipe that goes in front of you. But it's a very different way to visualize the ways we use this finite and frankly bafflingly strange chemical substance. So the best way to measure fuel economy would wonderfully be to just measure it as area. Unrelated fact that you're not going to like. We all know, of course we do, we all know that President Kennedy, when he made his famous fucking, we choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they're easy, but because they are hard. Right. When he made that speech, promise, whatever, everybody thought he meant 1969. He did not mean 1969. They're now declassified White House papers that talk about. I don't think it wasn't him and Johnson that was talking about it. I get, and it was too early, I think, for the worst human who ever lived. What's his fucking name? Henry Kissinger. It's the man. Yeah. Mr. President, my people tell the same story. Anyway. No one must know I dropped them in the toilet. Not I, the man who drafted the Paris Peace Accords. But yeah, I think it was too early for Kissinger. But somebody, they knew full well they had until the end of 1970 to technically pull off the promise of getting that shit done by the end of the decade. At no point did they think that the 60s ended at December 31st, 1969, because they don't. And I, as someone who was born in 1980, have had to have this conversation far more fucking times than I would like. Because, when the 70s ever come up, which happens, more and more rarely, of course, but when the 70s ever come up, well, yeah, technically I was alive in the last year of the 70s. 1980. Fuck, you get some people offside, man. They don't want to hear this. Fucks their whole worldview, man. What do you mean? The ones that start with 8 are the 80s? No, not how it works. There is no year zero. There was no, fucking, it went straight from 1 BC to 1 AD or CE, whatever we're calling it now. Does it fucking matter that we're calling it Common Era and before Common Era? Dude, it's fucking it's still the year that's attributed to this change in religion from one Jewish sect to another fucking Jewish sect. It isn't by changing it to, instead of in the year of the Lord, we're going to change it to higgledy-piggledy. That was higgledy-piggledy 1945 that the fucking World War II ended. Who cares? We're still measuring it as 1945 years since the supposed event of this Christ fellow. What difference does it fucking make whether we bring him up as a part of an acronym that, as a part of an initialism that nobody thinks about? How many people out there, when they hear AD, ever thought Anno Domini and then translated into back to what it actually means? It's like when you hear AM or PM. Do you hear anti-meridian and post-meridian? I fucking don't. I know what they mean, but I don't think of them. I know just AM, PM, like every the fuck one else. Me and Jess, my old production partner slash bandmate for many years, far too many years for many of you to count. But yeah, I was saying, there's a line in Star Trek: The Next Generation. It's the last episode of season 5 called Time's Arrow Part 1. No, it's Part 1, but it's just called Time's Arrow because that's what they always did. As though you didn't know there was always a fucking cliffhanger every year after Best of Both Worlds, season 3, you know. But anyway, there's a line. They've found Data's head in a cave underneath San Francisco, and it's been there for like 400 or 500 years, right? And they go about trying to figure out, make sure it's Data's and not his brother's. And Captain Picard asks, "Could this be law?" "No, sir. My brother's positronic brain has a Type L phase discriminating amplifier. Mine is Type R." Type R. So they're sure it's Data's head, and thus sets off a chain of causality that may happen at any moment in Data's future. We just can't know. It happens later that afternoon. Of course it does. It's all part of the same episode. It's the Next Generation. You can't just bury a head in episode 3 and come back to it in episode fucking 9. That wouldn't come along until much later, till a little gem of early television that paved the way for the golden age of television, and I will die on that fucking hill, called Deep Space Nine. And this wasn't Deep Spaces 1 through 8. No. This was Deep Space Nine. This was the one they got right. No, that's not why it was called that at all. But yeah, so obviously it was going to be in that moment. But the point being, the fucking the shortcut key in Ableton Live is for export Command Shift R, which is render. Is the way you got to remember it. Same as Control B. I learned some of these things / have like updated them for PC versus not. So I'll use Command and Control interchangeably. A little joke there about the Pentagon that I choose not to make. But the shortcut to export to render is Command Shift R. But we started doing it as Command Shift R, like just that Picard not forced as like Patrick Stewart forced it at all, but just like that diaphragmatic manner of speech, like the "I am an actor, madam" sort of thing, like the "You and he were buddies, weren't you?" That sort of thing, "I shall do so immediately, sir. I shall do so immediately, sir. I shall do so immediately." Sir. Till next time, drink more coffee, smoke more beans, and microdose acid if you need to stay up for a long car trip. Well, it's all worked out in a neat little package, hasn't it?